Acclaimed by TBD, a fictional sci-fi comedy podcast. Chapter 8. Surprise Pregnancy. Stay. Ahoy, passengers. You're aboard The Love Trope, a romance podcast that promises smutty reads for everyone. I'm your host, Sharon Manovich, Sharon Knowledge, about romance novels so you can set a course for your next reading adventure. Oh, hey, sit, Bill. Keep feeding me. Ugh. You know those times when you're forced to be part of a burgeoning civilization on a foreign planet with a different species, and you suspect a member of the warrior species had sexual relations with one of the goat-like animal species on this planet, so you decide to inspect some of the attributes of the offspring of this goat-like animal, to see if they resemble one of the warrior species. But then the animal suddenly thinks you're their best friend and won't stop following you around. Well, if you hear any weird bleating or barking or snoring, please know it is one of the alien space goat babies suddenly turning my life upside down right now. Yes, I was trying to see if the alien space goat or one of her siblings had any physical resemblance to any of the Decipraxans. But Billerina here mistook my anthropological observatory maneuver as a symbol of friendship. That is right, I named her Billerina. I had to give her a name once I resigned myself to the fact that she will never stop following me around. I want to help her differentiate the times when I'm talking to myself and talking to her. And she looks like a Billerina. At least I think it's a she. She pees like a girl dog, and the way her majestic baby horse eyes stare back at me, it just seems feminine. And she also has a cute little wet nose and come here, you. Ow! Fuck. Sorry, one of her horns almost poked my eyeball out. Damn, those things can do a lot of damage. But that is actually a good segue into today's topic. Little things that can alter the course of a character's life. I'm talking babies, and soon-to-be babies. Yes, today we are talking about the romance novel trope known as surprise pregnancy. For me, surprise pregnancy is basically the ASMR of romance novel tropes. Because you're basically reading about people in a messy situation having to get their shit together when you, in real life, don't have to do any of that. So it's really relaxing to have zero responsibility. Similar to watching an ASMR video. I could just live in someone's surprise pregnancy story and be just fine. In fact, I wish I were in someone's surprise pregnancy story right now, because with Billerina glued to my side all the time and the survivors here on New Deciprax freaking out, life is getting to be a little too much. In fact, right now, I wish I could be transported to the novella Reality Check, a contemporary romance. In it, every aspect of Liv's life falls apart in one day, capping it off with the realization that she is pregnant. Now, what is nice about this book is that Liv tells her love interest Ian this uncomfortable truth. She is having his baby. It uproots everything in both of their lives, but their love and their life and their bodies come together in the end. It's so unlike the real world when you tell someone something a small discovery you found that was buried, let's say, thinking, oh no, this won't uproot anything. But then it goes the opposite way and results in widespread panic on your newly colonized planet of New Deciprax. I wish that I could just say words and not have it cause me any trouble. Look, I know last year I had a complete nervous breakdown about lying that I was building this rescue signal. But now, when I'm more forthcoming, everyone else is having a nervous breakdown. Like, I should have kept my mouth shut. Or, Ballerina, you should have kept your hooves to yourself. But you really enjoy digging things up, don't you? You really enjoy digging things up. So, here on New Deciprax, there are artifacts from the previous civilization buried here and there. And it's mostly like boring things you keep in your kitchen junk drawer, you know, like random tools and coins and broken jewelry. But the other day, Ballerina was digging stuff up under the water platform, and I see that she dug up this stone tablet with writing on it. Frankly, I was hoping maybe it was directions to a target that's nearby that somehow all of us just missed. So I decided to take the slab to Blem to see if he can translate what it says, because he's had like 12 different translators involuntarily jammed inside of him. But when he reads it, his eyes widen, and he says some phrase in the Decipraxan language that does not translate to Earth English. I thought maybe Blem was reading a naughty joke, and like, what if this stone had like a smutty story chiseled into it? But no, it was just a dumb warning that the planet we're trying to survive on right now is doomed to be destroyed. Lame. The tablet recounts the remaining years of the previous civilization on this planet. It details that this demon suddenly appeared out of nowhere and gained its strength from the magical bilithial particles that make up this planet's atmosphere. The demon then enslaved every living being into its zombie army, where it incinerated everything, including themselves, after there was nothing left on the planet for them to burn. So Blem is panicking, which is ridiculous. He was like, the word architect is transmitting that danger will reconceptualize. And I'm like, are you serious? We have no evidence that indicates this tablet is an actual historic account of what happened where a demon just came out of nowhere. This tablet could be like, fan fiction or a Bible. Maybe the demon is metaphorical for like a normal disaster that, we won't do anything about, like climate change. But Blem starts panicking even more because the tablet only has these really vague details on how to destroy this demon. It said something like, you must conjure a conflagration from within by making its vital fluid containers dilate. Which, what? What does that even mean? But Blem is already ready to tell Prince Teko that, we need to prioritize a dilation initiative of these fluid containers, and it's like, what is anyone talking about? We don't even know if this is real. Okay. Let's say there was a civilization being wiped out by a demon centuries before all of us landed. What person would be like, you know what? I'll use the knowledge that I have on how to kill the demon, not to actually kill it, but to just arduously chisel the directions into a stone slab, which I'll then bury. That makes no sense. If anything, this could be a prank from the previous civilization. And you know what? That's a pretty good prank. Leave a fake historical account of some magical disaster and just really confuse the new residents as to what planet they're on. Oh my god, what if dinosaurs are a prank? What if this whole time it was actually a bunch of Neanderthals on Earth who knew an ice age was coming, and they were like, it would be funny? Let's make fake bones of these giant animals and bury them, and then when the next civilization digs them up, they'll be like, what the fuck was on this planet before us? And then they'll just develop a whole prehistory that everyone just believes. Mostly. Well, I guess the dinosaurs have followed me here too, because now new Deciprax is just blindly believing everything they see without analyzing the evidence. Right now, Prince Techo and all of the strongest people here are preparing for like this King Arthur style quest where they're gonna, go out and find this demon and dilate its vital fluid containers. Also, everyone is saying dilate vital fluid containers as if they all know what they are talking about. Like, what? And do you know what's even more insane? Everyone is panicked and worried except for me. What crazy reality are we in right now where I am the cool one who isn't panicking? Like, I thought I was Sharon the startled. Do you see me startling people? No, maybe take that as a sign that we're fine. And besides all of the survivors here who are just like panicking, we now have people like walking around with their chests puffed out, pretending to be like the Spartan warriors from the 300, preparing to slaughter this demon or dilate its containers or whatever. Guess who that includes? Earth astronaut Brett Reyes. Which, yes, I do hate him. And in an ideal world, if he left, I would be happy. But in this instance, if he leaves for this quest, I go back to being the worst survivor, just as I was really enjoying the status that comes with being the second worst survivor. And Lord knows, I'm not going to go on a fucking quest with them so I look mildly cooler than one other person. Honestly, it's been so much fun talking shit about him with Blem and some of the other people who can stand me at times. Like Reese and Jesse and Shillam the Determined, when her universal translator isn't malfunctioning. Reyes is so terrible, but boy, has he been a fascinating character study. Like right now, we all think that he is jealous that the Decipraxans have magic jizz and he doesn't. Here's how we know. For the last 2 weeks, Reyes has gotten really into brewing his own beer. And he's just been obsessed with this quote-unquote home brewing lab he put together in the remains of his spaceship. The only thing he talks about is his home brewing setup and how he concocted a strain of yeast that can make for passable beer. He did not concoct shit. He came upon this yeast. So for the longest time, Reyes was tossing his dirty clothes outside his tent because he assumed that there was someone around just like washing his clothes for him. So for months, his clothes were getting endlessly drizzled on, which caused a fungus to like grow on his wet laundry. So once Reyes discovered that, there is no fluff and fold here, he saw that his outdoor hamper incubated a strain of yeast. And that is what he has been using to ferment his beer. The guy has been brewing IPAs instead of doing his fucking laundry. And now he's walking around and like giving us all makeshift vessels of beer, saying, hey, it's time we ingest something more fun than lame fruits and vegetables, am I right? I mean, the journey that Reyes took from being grossed out by the alien jizz vegetables to being jealous that his jizz can't make vegetables, it is more compelling than the downfall of Walter White on Breaking Bad. It is so petulant and so immature and so incredibly entertaining. But now Reyes just has to go off and prove how tough he is by going on this quest, and now I am back to being the worst person in the group, and that fucking sucks. So I guess this is all to say, if I were ever in a surprise pregnancy romance and telling the truth would ruin my ability to tell juicy gossip, I would rather say nothing and just keep the baby inside my womb forever. And I'll just say I swallowed a watermelon seed and I'll be like, I'm confirming the rumors. A watermelon can grow in your stomach. Because you know what? That is how real people deal with real life and real life problems. And Ballerina now. Well, something crazy just happened. Reyes walked in because he had all of this extra beer, and Ballerina just charged at him, horns first, and he fell over backwards and rolled his ankle, and now he is like super injured. So he's not going on the quest. He's staying, which means I'll stay the second worst survivor here. It is basically the new Deciprax equivalent of me winning a People's Choice Award for having the coolest personality. Good work, Ballerina. You're such a good girl. This has been Sharon Manovich, sharing my knowledge about romance novels. Bon voyage, and I will see you next time aboard the Love Trope. Claimed by TBD is a presentation of Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. This episode is written and performed by Becky Feldman, music by Victor Natas and Codebox. Claimed by TBD is a work of fiction. Any similarities to actual persons living or dead is purely coincidental and would be pretty incredible. Thank you for listening and subscribing. Bye!